You know, another aspect of being a graduate student that I never really considered was the part of grad life that continues on outside of school. I mean, you don't just become a student and all parts of life just stop. You still have responsibilities. You still are expected to do things.
Word, 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 word. Until you say word, 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 word. Until you say word, 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 word. Until you say word, 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 word. Until you say okay, now welcome to my planet. Yes, I'm running this shit, damn it. Only thing that's running me is Neptune, but it's family. While you posted in Miami, I be coolin' with a Tammy, eating homemade cookies. Probably got them from your granny.
But the reality is, I think I had a real romantic idea of what I thought grad school would be like. And because of that, a lot of just regular life kind of suffered. So I'm trying to develop the skills and the discipline to actually be able to do my day-to-day needs like clean. So basically, I'm working on adulting while in grad school. Good morning, everyone. Today is Saturday, and I woke up really, really hungry. I realized I might have been a little dramatic earlier when I was saying that my adult life or whatever was suffering, or like my cleaning life was suffering. Suffering might have been too strong of a word. I don't want you all to think that I'm like a neat freak that has always been super tidy and all about cleaning. That has never been me. It's not my personality. I'm not that person. But I think what I was really trying to say earlier was just that when you go into grad school, you expect everything to be exactly the same as it was before grad school, or how it might have been in undergrad. But the reality is, what you do in grad school, your free time in grad school, how exhausted you are, the jobs you work are completely different than what you would have experienced any other time. So like having for me, I had like strong emotional burden. I was really worn out my second year of my PhD. I was working multiple jobs. One job was completely exploitive and didn't really care about me as a student or as a person, and that wore on me. And so when I came home, the last thing I wanted to do was dishes, or the last thing I wanted to do was wipe down the counter or do laundry. And it's not because, grad school is so hard that I couldn't do those things, but because I was dealing with new realities that I didn't quite understand how to respond to, or how to create boundaries that were healthy for me. And that fundamentally impacted how I was able to do things at home, because again, in undergrad, it's just like, oh, you're an undergrad, oh, you do these things. But in graduate school, it was much harder for me to find that balance. Now, 4 years in, especially post-pandemic, it's a lot easier for me to think about boundaries and come back and start thinking like, oh, this is my boundary. This is what I need to do. This will make my house clean. This will help me balance. But I think all in all, the point of thinking about adulting as in grad school is really, one, not being so hard on yourself when you don't do everything exactly like you did before grad school. Maybe grad school doesn't seem like it's a lot, or maybe grad school doesn't seem that much different. And for a lot of people, it might not be. But the reality is, if it is a lot for you, if it is different, if you haven't figured out what are your boundaries, when you come home and you don't feel like doing things, don't beat yourself up for it. Because again, it's just different. Grad school is just different. And eventually you will get used to what it takes to be a grad student and do all the other things that you like if you work at it. And with that being a reality, then you will figure out how to like make time to do your dishes or make time to do laundry or whatever, hang out with friends. And I think that's kind of, I don't know, the most important thing that I've been discovering is that so much of how people talk about grad school is that it has to be this totalizing experience where everything you do has to be about grad school. Everything you have to do has to be about suffering, has to be about struggling. But you get to decide and construct your own grad school experience. And because of that, make sure that outside of your academics, that you're also constructing your like adult life. You are still living life well as a graduate student, and you shouldn't feel like life has to be put on hold. And that for me was something that I had to learn, that everything doesn't stop because you're in grad school. You just have to learn to make a balance or make it last or find time for it. And again, like I say all the time, and if you do that, then at the end of the day, it will work out, and a grad school experience will be way more pleasurable, way more manageable once you create those boundaries and once you find that time for yourself.